Thank you, Neil. Good afternoon, everybody. Awesome. Super excited to be here today. My name is Zach James. I am a co-founder of STHM MAC, which is the Minority Alumni Coalition. We're a group started in 2019 with an effort to provide more educational opportunities and social opportunities focused on diverse alumni and diverse students. So we're super excited to host today's event, The Road Less Traveled, leveraging content creation to amplify hospitality opportunities. In today's society, the impact of social media and content is at an all-time high and shows no sign of slowing down. This holds true in almost every industry, but especially tourism and hospitality. Learn from our distinguished panel of industry professionals as they share and discuss the impact content creation has had for them and what you need to know in order to take full advantage for yourself. And to moderate this awesome panel discussion, I'd like to welcome STHM professor, Dr. Lou Liu. Dr. Liu is a tenured associate professor and an Arthur F. McGonigal Research Fellow at Temple University's School of Sport, Tourism, and Hospitality Management. Her research focuses on consumer behavioral marketing, specialized in service interactions, food and beverage decision-making, and the impact of marketing messages on travel decisions. Dr. Liu serves as associate editor for two leading journals, Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Research and the Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Technology, and is an editorial board member for numerous prestigious journals in tourism and hospitality. Her research is widely published in top-tier hospitality, tourism, and business journals, accumulating 5,309 citations on Google Scholar, and has been featured in major media outlets such as CNN, Fortune, Yahoo News, Restaurant Business, and NBC 10. Dr. Liu's work has also received international recognition, awards, and honors, including highly commended awards from leading journals, multiple Best Conference Paper Awards, and the Best Track Chair Award at the 2023 Global Marketing Conference. I hand it over to Dr. Liu.
Thank you, Zach, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. So today we're very lucky to have a distinguished panel who are going to talk about how content creation has impacted their life, their work, and how you can leverage this powerful tool to your advantage. So without further ado, let's dive in. So first, please allow me to introduce each of them. First, welcome Natasha Terrell, a full-time entrepreneur operating as owner and the CEO of Travel Goddess International, a full-service travel agency specializing in fabulous and affordable vacation planning solutions for the culture. Natasha's career in tourism and hospitality spans 15 plus years, have traveled to 40 plus countries, wow, and growing her passion for training and development into the creation of TGI's Travel Advisory Academy. Through the Academy, Natasha trains, mentors, and empowers new travel advisors to develop skills, opportunity, and resources that will advance them in the industry. As a travel expert for Fox News, Good Day Philadelphia morning show, and a travel contributor on WRD Radio, Natasha shares her knowledge and expertise of the travel industry and travel news live on air, with her segments reaching hundreds of thousands daily. Welcome, Natasha. So second, welcome Bing Nguyen, an accomplished public relation professional. Bing, previous serving as a strategic communication partner to clients nationwide, spearheading public relations, branding, and social media campaigns that result in positive press placements, notable award wins, revenue growth, and more. Bing has successfully landed impactful stories in outlets such as the New York Times, Food and Wine, Bon Appetit, Condé Nast Traveler, and more. As Senior Director of Communications at Visit Philly, Bing executes both social media relations along all of Visit Philly's storylines, generating positive coverage for the destination in various media outlets. Bing serves as Director at Large on Temple University Alumni Association Board and shares her passion for food and culture through her popular Philly Sushi Instagram page. With over 55,000 followers, again, wow, she curates and manages captivating content that showcases Philadelphia's delicious sushi scene. Welcome, Bing. Well, last but not least, Welcome Heather Carter, Managing Director, Founder, and CEO of the Carter Group. Carter Group is a consulting firm specializing in social media management and public relations. Heather leverages her experience across the private, nonprofit, and government sectors to help businesses and individuals enhance their brand visibility and engage effectively with their audiences. Her expertise includes developing comprehensive communication strategies and managing digital content to drive impactful, tailored messaging. As a Palestinian and a Black woman, she is deeply committed to amplifying voices that are often unheard. She holds an MBA in strategic management from the Falk School of Business at Temple University and completed her undergrad studies at the Pennsylvania State University. Welcome, Heather.
Thanks.
All right, ladies, are we ready for some burning questions? All right. So first of all, how has content creation and social media impacted your career in hospitality and travel?
Oh, I'll start us off. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, can we get into the girl power?
Yeah.
So it's the introductions we're doing, not one, but two things. To answer the question, content creation honestly catapulted my business because when I first started out, and I'll say I started out as a travel advisor in 2015. Funny enough, I got into it because I was coming to Temple to begin my master's and needed money to buy my books. So I was at lunch with a friend and they asked me, hey, have you ever heard about being an at-home travel advisor? And I said, no, tell me more. The rest is history. However, at the time, 2015, it's 10 years ago at this point, which is wild. It was social media was around, but it wasn't doing social media of today. It wasn't 55K showing people sushi. So I saw a lane and I said, all right, everyone can sell travel. Most people, when you think about a travel agent, you kind of think about someone sitting at a desk and just sending you quotes, and they're not outside. Kids say we outside. So I decided I'm going to be the traveling travel agent. I'm going to showcase my experiences on social media. I'm going to allow people to visualize themselves in these destinations, and that will then attract clients because I'm not going door to door. I'm working full time, and then I'm going to Temple in the evenings. I don't have the time. So how can I leverage a platform that's free to me to grow my business? And then of course, it grew legs. It took off. I was chasing after it because the power of social media. I was able to get in front of hundreds and thousands of people daily, but truly that catapulted my business. It really did. And I had to then adapt to the ways of growing on the platform. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, I was just talking to her. She was a reason I actually have an Instagram account right now. I had it yesterday. But any other input from the ladies?
Hi, can you hear me okay? Yes, I love what she mentioned about the power of social media and it being a free tool that everyone can be able to utilize. And I wouldn't even be in the role I have at Visit Philadelphia without social media. So my journey in getting this job was when I used to be a consultant and a freelancer, I was very active on social media, on LinkedIn specifically, with sharing what was going on with my clients, what they were doing. And the vice president of Cashman and Associates, which is a very reputable PR firm in the city, was browsing and reached out to me on LinkedIn. So she said, hey, I saw you're doing some freelancing work. Would you want to connect? Turns out it was a great fit. We ended up working together, and Visit Philadelphia was one of the clients and accounts that I had worked on through Cashman. From there, I met Angela Val, who's the current CEO of Visit Philadelphia. She's the first Black woman to helm this role, and that was really powerful for me when we had announced her position. I guess long story short, through that experience, we had a great relationship, and she was like, Finn, I would love for you to come in-house, work with us at Visit Philadelphia. And through that, I was able to secure what my current job is, and that wouldn't have been feasible had I not been active on social media.
So I actually, so I worked for La Colombe back in 2019, and I realized that most of the office that I was sitting in was a marketing firm. Most of our staff sitting at headquarters was marketing. I worked directly under the CEO, so I had a different role, but I would always admire marketing and how La Colombe portrayed itself to, how that brand was able to carry itself throughout the nation, getting into 70% of grocery stores. So when I started my business, I didn't know what I wanted it to be, but I knew I wanted to brand it well and show up online. And I didn't necessarily want to start a social media company. 2020, I launched. March 2020, there was a huge need for people to be online to sell their products and to get anybody into their location. So that was the beginning of my social media content creation career. It was a need created by the pandemic. And then I thought it was fatty. Like I thought it would, die out, and it didn't. So here we are today. Yeah.
Can be better today, actually. So that's a great answer. So next, let's delve into something specific, right? Since they all mentioned how social media content creation has really transformed over the past few years. My next question is, can you share a specific example of a time when social media directly impact your business or careers or other opportunities? And what lessons did you learn from that?
Yeah. So my position with Fox was the direct result from social media. Someone had a need and put up a post. They were last minute. If you know anything about news media, everything is last minute because everything is happening and they're trying to cover it as it's happening. So they had a need for a travel expert for a segment that was happening the next morning. So I literally had maybe like 14 hours to prepare for this, from the time I had to be on set to the time I was notified. But long story short, a DM direct message in my Instagram asking if I was available to come to Fox and discuss this particular topic. Fast forward now, I've been working with them for 2.5 years from a DM. So number one, check your request box. Because a lot of good stuff lands in the request box. That's number one. But number two, count your blessings because you never know what's available and you never know how you can leverage it. And now here I am 2.5 years later, working with them and loving it every day.
That's beautiful.
And I'll talk about my side passion project, which is Philly Sushi. This is actually something I started when I was a student at Temple. Back then, when social media and that world was just beginning, there weren't a lot of content creators out there yet. And how I started it was actually in high school. I used to work at a sushi restaurant, and it was a Japanese spot. And that's where I really fell in love with the cuisine, with sushi in general. And I remember when I moved to the city, I would be so eager to try all of the restaurants in town, checking them all out, and then just became a resource for my family and friends to be like, what's the best spot for takeout? What's a good spot for a date night? Things like that. I was like, at that point, you know what? Instead of telling my family and friends all of these on the side, let me just create a page. I'll put information there. I'll share my photos. And that was the inception of Philly Sushi. So it started really out of passion and really organically back when the market wasn't so saturated and there was a need for this type of content in the city. And through that experience, the platform has grown so much over the course of almost a decade, which is wild to even think about. And none of that would have been feasible had I not just like started it back then when there was a need. And since then, over the past, almost 10 years, I've had such an abundance of different opportunities, like getting to go out and try all of the sushi spots in the city and creating content for those restaurants to support their businesses. I've been able to go on Fox 29 and 6ABC and have a lot of media opportunities where I can share my expertise. I've been able to write articles about all of these things, and that wouldn't have been feasible and has been such a big impact in my life, even though it is a side project.
If I may, before you go, Heather, I would like to point out that Ben made a really important point about finding the opportunity. Like, I know we feel like now, you said saturated, there's a lot of content creation, there's a lot of foodies, all of those things, but there's also still tons of voids. And so our reoccurring theme here is we saw a lane and we just drove down it. And we made some turns along the way as content and social media continues to change. But identify the void or identify the opportunity and then lead with that, especially if it's a passion of yours, food, marketing, travel. That allows it to be even more exciting as you dive deep into it. But really identify where's my opportunity and then go down that way. Sorry.
Dr. Liu, I'm so interested in what my two panelists were saying. I forgot the question.
No worries. The question is any specific example that you found using content creation, social media has directly impact your business or bring you more opportunities?
Yeah, social media drives my business. So when I was developing my own brand and putting out my own content to promote my brand for my company, other companies, friends saw that, and I was able to create things for them, and then that turned into a word of mouth trickle. So my marketing and sales never really drew in, the kinds of volume that you would expect marketing and sales to, but I get the volume from people that I know. So it's really like a one-to-one networked experience. And also Temple University has helped a lot with that. I mean, not only my education, getting my MBA here, but also just like the panels, the discussions, the way that this school continues to highlight the alumni from the alumni, actually. Yeah. And that's been majorly impactful. I think the visibility that institutions around Philadelphia have continued to give us, like the platforms, that translates to social media, and then that gives you some kind of authority in the space. So yeah, it's really relationships. I would point to the relationships that I've built and continue to build because of social media as being like the most impactful thing to my business.
That's beautiful. That is a new ecosystem now we're having. Yeah, wonderful. So I think here we have alums, partners, students, right? We're ambitious. We want to know the formula, right? The secret sauce. So if you can share some key strategies for building a personal brand, right? We'll talk about a lot of professionally, like business. So what are some key strategies for building a personal brand on social media that appeals to employers, clients, or potential business partners?
Photo shoots. I say get them every year. A lot of times people aren't looking to buy your brand. They want the interaction with you. They want that personal touch. They want to see your face. And social media is free most of the time, unless you're running ads. But it's like the easiest, freest thing that any business and any brand can do to promote. And it's low hanging fruit. So if you get good quality, high quality pictures out there, high quality content out there, all that, it's $12.99 for a monthly subscription to Canva, right? And so if you have a message, you have an initiative, you're a thought leader, that's the best way, I believe, the best and least expensive. Although you could get up there with the photographers, they do get expensive, but I would say, yeah, getting good imagery around your brand is a really great way to push the quality of your brand.
And I would say along Heather's line of personal touch, like it's all about personality. Do not be shy on being you, be authentic, be yourself, and don't stray away from sharing who you are, what you have to say on your social media channels. And then the other piece of feedback I think is super helpful is taking in feedback from your followers, from the engagement that you receive, and using that as research to continue to refine your content, right? So obviously you want to put out things that you're passionate about, that you want to share, but it's so important to also listen to your followers. And if they're really engaging on this one post and liking it and commenting on it and asking you questions about it, that is feedback and research for you to then take in and say, this is what really resonates with my audience. Maybe I should push more of this content out. Maybe I should share more of this perspective or more of this type of content. So feedback and using that as your free market research.
And I just, the last thing I'll add to that is people buy from people. And I actually had to learn that in business because when I first started out, I was very much, a product of that's STHM. It's beautiful. It's buttoned. It's professional. And that was how I was marketing, if you will, my travel content, but it was kind of like, and then when I decided to be more authentic to myself, to speak directly to my target audience, to identify first my target audience and then speak to them, understanding that 85% of my audience is Black, female, and local to the tri-state area. Understanding all of those analytics, which again are free in the app, you can click insights and see who your messages are reaching. Once I realized that, now I'm like, all right, I can still be my buttoned up self because that's who I am, but I can add a little yes girl and a little period to what I'm saying to give it an authentic Natasha feel. And when I opted to do that is really when I saw the growth on my platform, the growth in my endeavors as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, the opportunities that were made available, because now people can see themselves in me, or they see what and who I am, and now it is a direct reflection of whatever it is that they're trying to do. And then also it might not work for other people, and that's fine. What's for me will be for me. But at least identifying who I am, who my audience is, and what my platform is the biggest thing to creating content that you can both leverage and catapult.
Yeah. And then just along the lines of growth, something really important too is thinking about how do I align myself to the brands that I love and that I want, to also reach their audiences. What's really beautiful about Instagram now is that we have the collaboration feature. So if you're posting a video or a photo and it includes a brand that you really love, don't be shy about, co-collaborating. Yes, maybe they won't collaborate with you, but it's putting yourself on their radar. And even if it's a local brand that you're working with, co-collaborating allows you to also reach their audiences. Same thing on LinkedIn. When you're sharing LinkedIn content and it's about an event or you went somewhere, always tagging the organizations or the brands or the people that were a part of that will then also help that piece of content that you put out reach their audiences and also engages with them personally too, so that you're on their radar.
That's beautiful. We actually heard a lot of like fundamental marketing concept, right? They being mindful of your target market, your market orientation, right? Or now we're talking about brand coalition. That is a very, very strategic move, and also talking about investment in photo shooting, right? To actually create that content can be appealing to your major market, right? That is a very thoughtful answers. Next one is interesting, right? We talk about the right strategies, right? The things that you can leverage on to make it successful. How about, let's say, when things go awry, right? What are some common mistakes that you have seen, let's say our aspiring hospitality professionals, when they try to establish a brand online, right? We're eager to establish presence, but what are some common mistakes that you have seen?
Not having your website done, or not just sending them to a place that is not.
Do not tell
right.
those people to DM for the link, or DM to order, DM to no, don't do that.
And your website. So the whole point, I think, of social media is to drive to an order or drive to a website or drive traffic somewhere else for a lot of my clients. And so not having that other back end set up. So if someone were to Google you and a mess comes up, but your social media looks great, it's just not aligned. Yeah.
I would also say another maybe don't do is don't let other people's perception of your content dictate or stop you from posting. I think I struggled with that, before, where I want to share something or I want to post a video and then I pull myself back and I like pre-filter and I'm like, how are people going to react to this? How's my boss going to feel about this? And then you just need to stop yourself and be like, if you want to post, just do it. Don't let like the perfection of, do I have the perfect caption? Do I have the perfect whatever it is, stop you from just getting something out there. Because what I've just learned, obviously, from a lot of the journalist conventions that I go to and conferences, that the data shows people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And it's more important to just put yourself out there and get your message out and get your content out than just waiting to try to find that perfect time or that perfect caption or whatever it is. So don't let anyone else stop you from just doing something.
And just to expand again to Heather's point, don't make the process difficult for your buyer, because to the point of to Ben's point, they're going to not buy. Their attention span is short. So having to DM to order or figure out how they can, if the process is too layered or too complicated, you're going to lose the sale. If selling is what you're doing, or if you're trying to position yourself as an influencer and people can't come to your page and know exactly what it is that you are influencing or interested in or marketing, they're going to leave. You've lost an interested person who you could have collaborated with, and so forth. So please remember to be direct, keep the process simplified as possible. Because even in travel, like I've mastered it to the best I can to make it simple, but it is a personalized experience. So after a while, it's layered, but that's, on the back end. But try to make it simple, because people are going to walk away or leave or swipe or scroll, whatever, it's going to be not fruitful if you're making it too difficult.
Well, I can't agree more. Talking about the shorter attention span, actually, you ladies exactly said what I told my students in class. Actually, when we teach students how to design a manual, right? Don't let your customer study. People hate studying. Let's make it short, straightforward, as easy as possible, right? So thank you for that. That is very helpful. So next question is, for those looking to pioneer their own path, right? Whether through entrepreneurship or innovative roles, and how can they leverage content creation to build trust and respect? I think one of you have mentioned like building trust and authority. And what do you think?
Who in the audience is Gen Z or a part of that generation? Okay, and then who's millennial? Okay, basically a majority of us. And something I think millennials, to our disadvantage, do is we grew up where Instagram was like the primary source of social media. Now, I think younger generations, they're on TikTok, they're on all these other platforms. And because we had Instagram, all of our content used to be so filtered, so perfect, so aesthetic. And nowadays, I think what Gen Z, that generation, and younger generations are doing that is really serving them is they're just being their raw, authentic self and posting on TikTok and letting people in on the challenges of their journey and not just like the perfect end product. So that's something I would really recommend in terms of building trust with your audience is whatever message or journey or thing that you're putting out there, let them in and be transparent about the process. It's not always going to be this perfect visual or this, perfect shot. Sometimes shit happens and there's going to be challenges that you go through. There's going to be things, and letting your audience in on those things and taking them along that journey really helps you build that trust with them and helps them tune in and invest in what you're doing.
That's beautiful.
I feel personally attacked. I like everything. I like everything to be perfect.
You're a millennial.
I'm a millennial. And that has put me in a lane of my clients are perfectionists. My clients are corporate. They want a very refined. There's all kinds of social media, right? And the lane that I'm in is very polished and present. And I think that's also part of my socialization as like, I'm from Virginia, the DMV, and we were just brought up to just present. It has to be perfect. And so I'm always working on my perfection. I'm trying to not be so perfect, but it's hard.
You are perfect, but progress over perfection.
I think they nailed it. I'll let you keep going. Yes, it was perfectly said, because I'm a millennial. I'm like, I feel you, and I think I mentioned it earlier where I initially started my business, my content, feeling like I had to be buttoned up and feeling like everything had to be polished. And even now, when people come up to me and they're like, "Oh, we love the content that's on the Travel Guys International page. And I'm just like, if you only knew, it evolves. But I think also to the point, be comfortable in evolution. I'm not recently, but I'm now on TikTok showing up. That's a great space for me to share in the moment raw thoughts that are related to travel news and keeping people informed. And it doesn't have to feel like I took 8 hours to craft a reel and put it on Instagram. So I'm now leveraging the two platforms and then, sharing those posts to my stories that expire in 24 hours, but at least people can see me. So also leveraging the power of stories will give you the ability to connect with your audience. Walking them through that process has been mentioned. The behind the scenes content, like all of those things. Again, I can't stress it enough, but people buy from people.
Mm-hmm. This is so interesting. Actually, now it's my nerdy talk. We talk about, like, scholarly speaking, what is trust, right? So essentially, the one party is willing to be vulnerable to another party. You are willing to share more, right? You can admit you're not perfect. So that is one person establish trust to another. But also, it's very interesting. We talk about, like, a corporate partners, right? You want to be extremely polished, right? You want to establish that trust. So if I may push a little bit further for Heather. So you're talking about being polished. Is there anything else, like, say, for that group of clientele, what would you do to establish trust and authority?
Spell every caption right. Cut the video perfectly. So I think in the difference between these ladies and I is that I'm behind the scenes for the client, and I have to establish some kind of trust through my own brand to make sure that they can trust. And though you guys, I'm sure, have very trustable brands, but I feel like it's a little different for me because I'm doing it on behalf of many clients. So it's hard to bring out the personality of a company if the leader is not willing to step out in front. And I'm always pushing the leader to step out in front and be themselves. And but a lot of times they don't want to even have hands on it. And so without that personality, then I have to create something. And oftentimes it's more not bland, but polished. It's more straight to the point. It's what is the initiative? What is the goal here? Let's push it out. How many channels do we need? I'm more focused on that, like organizing the distribution of the content versus like trying to create like, a personality for someone who may not want to be in the forefront of their organization.
Absolutely. Considering the time we're taking, because I would like to dig in deeper and deeper into the conversation. Let's move on. All right. So we have students here and also who are job seekers, right? So how students and job seekers leverage content creation to make themselves more attractive to hospitality brands and also employers? Tips for students.
Start. Just do something. And that's the best way to, if you see there's a restaurant and their menus are trash and their social media sucks, maybe draft up something for them on Canva, and you can create, simple nine block grid and show it to them, and they may like it. And how long will that take you to do? Maybe it'll take you an hour, 2 hours, but you might have a new contract. And then that will spread. They'll talk to their friends, or you'll continue showing your work to other people in the industry. But I do believe it's just starting, because that's how I started. I started doing it for the low, and then now I can charge the high, because I started. So and it's a low barrier to entry in social media. So I think the goal is just begin.
I will definitely second that. Just start, and also try to look at your social media as a potential form of your own resume, right? If you're a student and you're looking to potentially get career opportunities in this field, start by challenging yourself to post on LinkedIn once a week and think about content that establishes you as a thought leader. Maybe you share an article and share your opinion about something in this space. Maybe you attended an event and you share some photos and you tag some of those brands. All you have to do is just get started and think about, how do I be proactive and initiate content out there that could resonate with potential employers or potential clients or potential partners who may look at this and say, that was really impressive, or that was a really great point, or I love that they went to that event and have a positive perception of you from that.
The last thing I'll add to that is tagging and DMs. I mentioned earlier that, my opportunity with Fox stemmed from a DM. It can work the opposite way. You are able to technically directly reach these businesses and brands. Really looking at the contact options that are in their bios and on their pages, seeing who, if anyone is tagged in the bios and description, reaching out directly, leveraging free tools that are already there instead of doing additional research to try to find who I can contact. Look at the content that they showcase on their page. Does it resonate with you? Can you do better, like Heather mentioned? Do you see an opportunity for change and growth? Pitch that to them, like in the DMs, and follow it up with an email or vice versa. I've got a lot of collaboration opportunities by just kind of telling people, let's work this out. Let's do something, and leveraging my own strengths. So again, back to identifying your lane, finding your strengths, and then just kind of talking your SHIT a little bit and telling people that they need you and why.
Yeah. And one last point I'll mention is, again, using social media as a research tool. So if there is a brand or an organization or a person you really want to work with or collaborate with, do the research and make sure that the outreach is personal and say, hey, I saw you're a Temple Owl too. Like I graduated then. Or, hey, I saw you love sushi. I just went this place. Because 9 out of 10 times, actually 10 out of 10 times, I'll only open and reach out to people who add that personal touch, that I know, like, this isn't just a cold email or a cold message that you sent 100 people. This is something targeted to me. And so that's something I would want to give my time to.
Thank you, ladies. So let's continue this line of conversation, right? For students and future professionals. So what are your suggestions and advice for students, let's say, who often feel overwhelmed by social media, but also want to use it strategically to advance their career?
I'm overwhelmed by social media.
Me too.
Me three, honestly.
Me four.
But what I had to do was take myself out of it and realize that it's bigger than me. I'm building a brand. I want to reach people. I want the brand to reach people, and I want the opportunities to follow. So while it may have started as me wanting to be the traveling travel agent, I took a step back, and I'm going to talk about why that's good and bad in a moment. Took a step back in the early 2020 and like 2021, attempting to leverage more of a unified platform and not necessarily gearing it towards the individual. And that quickly did not work as well as I thought. Back to the original point, people buy from people. So now we're back to being present, being the face, and showing people, hey, we're an agency of 22 people, and here we are who we are. So really just figuring out what's your lane, what's your voice, and merging it all together. Yeah. Yeah.
I think to minimize my overwhelm, it's the scheduling links, and not necessarily scheduling for my personal, but scheduling for my business, scheduling for my clients, like being able to set it and forget it. That is really a helpful tool to minimize overwhelm, because also clients, they do in the middle of, a strategic plan. So you'll plan out the month, but then they want something else posted, the next week. So it's, I've created forms to kind of manage that flow from clients to make sure that, I'm not being inundated by my inbox. And that's the business side of the social media overwhelm. I think when you're managing multiple accounts, it's very overwhelming. Like, I'm thinking about a few posts right now that needed to go out yesterday. And anyway, I did a meditation on the way here. Meditation works. It helps.
Mindfulness cures. I can't imagine your world. I mean, same here. But I appreciate the point. Just do it and forget about it. Just like me, I never post anything, but sometimes I feel obligated, like professionally, you have to post this thing. Okay, just do it and then forget. I think that is often helpful. Thank you.
Can I ask, just a show of hands, how many people posted today? Whew, well, we got some work to do. But I get it. I get it. We're doing 18 things and social media becomes the last priority. But remember your lane. Is this a priority? If it is, as much as the paper that's due and the class that you have to attend, if entrepreneurship is the goal, then you have to make the time. And you have to realize that it may be overwhelming, but the end result, is that worth it? And if it is, just do it.
Beautiful. All right, I think let's move to the next question. All right. So given the ever-changing landscape of social media, if you were starting today, right, what would you do differently than how you began your career?
If I'm being honest, I wouldn't do anything differently, only because I've walked you guys a little bit through my journey. Every time I decided to pivot, I learned something different. So I needed each of the processes when starting out, travel agent, switching up to being more inclusive of all the people in the business, going back to being more personable. I needed to watch social media evolve and then feel comfortable enough as a business owner to evolve with it and not being stuck in my millennial ways of saying, well, this is how I've been doing it, so let me keep doing it this way. Not gonna work. So you have to be okay with adapting. But I really wouldn't change anything. I would just keep being open-minded and evolving with the times.
And I would just say I wouldn't change anything either, except I wish I would have put myself out there more and sooner. And similar to what I mentioned earlier, not let the fear of how other people will perceive my content dictate me posting. You know what I mean? I think when I was younger, I would always second guess myself or not want to be vulnerable on social media. And if I could go back, I wish I would have just put myself out there and just did it sooner. But for all of you, like, you can start today and it's never too late to start.
I would change. So in the beginning of my start of my company, I let the market need, pandemic, people needing to be online, and my obsession with social media drive me to start the business and go all in. But I would have gotten a co-founder. I would have been a lot more thoughtful in the beginning with how I was structuring the company and considering capacity. I'm at capacity now, and yeah, I would have loved to have like a second person to kind of help me expand the capacity and have different a different skill set than I have, to kind of make it a more wholesome feeling for me now, because I am feeling the lack of a co-founder here. And I've seen co-founders together. I've seen partners, and it's so beautiful how they're able to, like, collaborate, coordinate, expand. Their capacity is bigger. They can manage larger teams. So maybe I'll be looking for a co-founder soon. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for those answers. And we just talked about the short attention span, right? So let me pause here. We do want to make sure we have enough time for the audience to ask our panelists questions. Do we have anything from the audience? Is there anything you want to know? I think it's a good time, like we have a Q&A session.
Blocking off time to make content, to shoot content, to edit it. So just curious if there's any strategies you all use to either do that yourself or delegate.
Two things. One, has anyone ever heard of Fiverr? Okay. Those people on Fiverr can get that content done pretty quickly. And granted, that's an expense. So I understand if you're starting out, then you might be wanting to keep your expenses down. But to Heather's point, really understanding where, as the founder, co-founder, entrepreneur, CEO, where is your time and your value best allotted? And sometimes spending the hours creating the content is taking you away from growing the business or putting your energy into accelerating the business. So being able to say, content may not be my strong suit, but can I leverage other opportunities that are in the market, maybe ChatGPT to just give you some captions, like things like that allow you to be more strategic so that way your time is valued. And also, I am the scheduling on Instagram queen. There's posts happening right now, and I'm sitting here talking to you. So please use the scheduling features that are available, or scheduling platforms. Because I know sometimes, depending on your follower count and things, certain features of the platform may not be available. So scheduling features and also scheduling programs are out there, but really identify where your time is best spent and then fill in the gaps.
I have a content manager, and I send her plans, and then she lays it out. And on Canva, there's a section where you can create brands. So I deal with multiple brands. So I upload all the logos and their pictures, their color palette. And so that makes it easier for her to just go in. But I'm always the last person to see the content before it goes out. So she'll draft it up, and she'll get me like 90% of the way. And then, and even with ChatGPT, it's hard to feel like a human when it's spitting things out to you. So we go line by line to make sure. But I think the key there is body doubling. So like making sure that you have someone to co-work with, or that someone's holding you accountable in that moment. Because I think in social media, attention is like, even my attention is super short. And I don't, how am I supposed to run this business if I have to if I'm like, squirrel, so body doubling to keep you focused is my suggestion.
People buy from people. And it's important to be the face of your company. However, I have a huge issue with being on here. It's just, it's an uncomfortable for me. I have had to do it in several assignments. And so my question is basically, how do you guys get over that uncomfortableness of speaking to a camera, not having other people around to put myself?
Well, I think number one, if you're not like going live on Instagram, right? I think it's okay if you're just in your living room and you're talking to your camera and it's just you and your camera. But look, she's cringing already.
Can we ask what your business or company is?
Nice.
I really like to just, I would like to put out as far as being the face of business, which I am. I just don't feel comfortable on screen. Yeah. I feel comfortable speaking to people in person, but I just get a really weird feeling once the camera is on and I'm just speaking out with people.
I would say you just have to start somewhere first, right? And if you don't like being on camera, you can still share your story and that be really powerful for people to hear without you doing a video or, so if you post, maybe, are you comfortable posting a photo of yourself or if you do a photo of yourself and you use the caption as a way to share a story and let people get to know you more, that's going to be a start, an investment. And then I feel like if you're comfortable sharing your story through that way, hopefully then you can gradually just challenge yourself to then, okay, maybe the next step is doing a short 5-second video at home in the comfort of my space, and then just hitting the send button. And where are your fears stemming from in terms of being scared of being on camera?
I'm not getting any human interaction. So it's like I'm speaking to a blank screen. So it just feels really weird and awkward.
I feel the same way. And during pandemic where we couldn't meet with each other, I felt like I still needed to show up on social media. And so I was doing lives. And when I did lives, I made sure that I scheduled every single week with someone else. So I would have a different person come on and we'd have a topic and they would go on their social media. So then that moment was being amplified to their followers. And also it's no one's using live anymore. You could probably maybe one or two.
Catch me on live.
But when I'm on my social, like I see one or two live, like every few days, and so that's a great opportunity for you to kind of occupy that space because people get notified when you go live. But using someone else, again, I'm all about the body doubling. I need people to hold me accountable for me to accomplish some things. So that's a good, yeah.
I need to follow her. Yay. I second that.
That is very smart. Any other questions from the audience? Oh, yeah, we have 2, 3.
Excellent question.
I think I signed up for the Chinese Army. Red Sky just came out. Red Note, yeah, I signed up and I didn't. My lawyer's sitting right there, and she's gonna be mad. But I didn't translate the Chinese terms, but I signed the Chinese terms. So I don't. I can't answer that question.
I do think that that's tough because we don't have crystal balls. So it is a matter of, this is gonna sound cliche, but it's a go with your gut thing. It's tough. We did not know TikTok was going to be TikTok, but here we are, and it literally, people were paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for phones that had the app on it when it wasn't available. Nuts. So we have to decide where we want to spend our time. And back to the earlier point is there's 24 hours in a day, and some of them you are asleep. You have to commit, but you also need to be like, all right, where is my time best spent? I don't know if we'll get another TikTok or Instagram platform. And if we do, wow. But I think leveraging the ones that we have now, growing the audience, because the audience will follow you wherever you go. So focusing on your audience growth over, I just want to find, the next platform, I think is really, really important. Get an email list, figure out ways to leverage the people that want to see you, talk to you, engage with you, and they'll follow you.
I'm more of the YOLO subscription. So I'm like, be an early adapter, like go on that platform because you never know. And even if it doesn't ever take off or it's not what you expected, what's the worst that could happen? You learn a few things and you just pivot and move on. So I would say if there is an opportunity for you to be an early adapter on something and you see the potential and you trust your gut, 100% go for it. Yeah, go ahead. That's such a great question because that's something we've actually been challenged with internally at Visit Philadelphia of, do we stay on X or not right now? We had an internal conversation about it, and it all ties back to what your brand or your organization's core mission is or what your client's core mission is. And for us at Visit Philadelphia, we want to be the most inclusive, welcoming destination. And if there's a platform that no longer feels that it is inclusive or welcoming for us, what we've chosen to do is not be too dramatic and like delete our account or like say a goodbye message, but we've just stopped posting on it and have let it stale until we have more information on that platform's future. Because maybe Elon Musk owns it right now, but who's to say in 5 years it's owned by another person that better aligns with our mission and our what we're trying to achieve.
And I'll just also add that's where bringing your audience, off of the platform comes into play. So please ensure if you have built an audience or are working to build an audience that you have another way for them to reach you and connect with you. So we have our community and it's hosted on a separate platform. We have our email, obviously, and that's, through MailChimp. We have other ways that even sometimes Instagram just acts crazy for a few hours of the day and you can't use the platform. That has happened. And folks are like, what am I doing? Ensure that you can have and reach your audience off of the platforms that are currently questionable to or don't align with your mission, vision, and values, because you still want to be able to connect with the people who genuinely care about you, genuinely care about your business, and want to still support you.
Hi, Eric. Oh, sorry, Zach. I do think that it needs to be clear to the followers of that platform why the shift is happening. And then I think there needs to be a form that's driving them to share their emails and information if they still want to be connected with the organization. I think that's like the practical piece of this is like, if you're going to make a statement like that, like what's the next step? How are you going to retain that audience?
What's your favorite part about being a content creator and social media? And kind of in combination with that, where do you see it going, either as a platform or for yourself, let's say in the next 5 years?
Well, I think my favorite part about social media is what I've built in the agency and really giving people the power and the capacity to travel, and to see themselves traveling. So the agency started out, again, as I stated, me wanting to just showcase experiences. But then I realized that it was more and bigger than me. People are outside, they're traveling to destinations that they might have not considered. And so I've built an extension of the culture through travel and through the social media. So that's definitely my favorite thing. And also, I love the ability to just talk and say what I want to say and do what I want to do. And social media gives me that face. As far as where I see it going in the next 5 years, honestly, back to the climate question, I don't know. But what I do know is how I'll continue to show up. And if the opportunities are there, I will continue to still leverage them. So I can only speak for myself, my work ethic, and what I stand to continue to gain from the power of social media. And we will just have to wait and see.
I second that. I would say my favorite and most rewarding thing is putting people on, essentially, because when I go to a new place or visit and have a new experience, I'm so excited about it. I'm like, I want to put people on. I want people to know so that they can equally have this exciting experience. And it's so fulfilling for me when I get those DMs that say, hey, that spot you recommended, like I took my girlfriend there on our like 5-year anniversary and she loved it and X, Y, and Z. Like that will always be my favorite thing about having a social media platform. And then same 5 years, TBD, but hopefully just continuing to push myself to put myself out there and controlling what I can control.
I'd like to grow my team. Yeah, I'd like more in-person people. My staff currently is international. I have one person I'm hiring this week. I finally got her position description, so we'll see what the next 5 years looks like there. But I would like to be more established. I've also made up my mind that Philadelphia is it. So yay! I tried to move 3 times and it didn't work. And then favorite part is access. social media gives you a lot of access because the barrier to access is low if you're doing it right. That I met Ben in New York City for the first time. She's a Visit Philly girl. Yeah. So just having the access to those events and being able to amplify other people and give them confidence in the way that they show up online is also my joy. It gives me joy. Yeah.
Of course. Go ahead.
Travel-related accidents. So my question is, has that directly impacted your business? And if so, are you like addressing your clients' concerns and kind of putting them at ease?
Yeah, this has certainly been a struggle for our industry. Just was speaking about this with WURD Radio earlier this week because I feel like right now the conversation is all about pointing the finger and not about how do the people feel. And that is where I've found another lane to directly talk to our audience, directly talk to our clients, directly talk to those that are apprehensive about travel right now. Not to sell travel, but just to align with their current feelings and let them know it's okay to wait on it. Additionally, pivoting. Because I'm not trying to sell you travel right now, but I can keep giving you resources and I can keep showing up and providing free game. And I can use my platform in that manner. So that's really where our focus has been. Instead of pushing folks to travel, it's a matter of how do we still connect with our clients and our audience and still provide the value. That's it. That's key. Still providing the value. And so when they are comfortable, once again, we're top of mind. Yeah.
That's awesome. Any more questions from the audience? Oh, wow, one more. Yes. Or is there a balance? Never heard of it.
That's an amazing question. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I'll share two things I do that really help me feel grounded and in control of my schedule. The first one, I journal every single morning. I have something called a 5-minute journal, and it helps me set intention for the day so that I'm not just aimlessly like in chaos. It asks you like 3 things you're grateful for, and then 3 things that you want to accomplish or happen today. So that really helps me have direction and intention on how I'm going to be spending my day. And then the other thing is time blocking. So I know he had mentioned it. A lot of the big like CEO, Bill Gates, they use time blocking as like a productivity and efficiency tool. And that's helped me stay accountable with like, if I specifically block time in my day, this is when I'm going to focus on this. This is when I'm going to post this content. This is when I have that meeting. It makes me feel more at ease. So every Sunday, to prevent the Sunday scaries, I spend 30 minutes to just sit down, look at my calendar for the week ahead, look at all my meetings, and then time block specific times for me to make sure I have a break. This is when I'm blocking out time for lunch, like do not disturb me. This is when I'm blocking out time to journal, or this is when I'm blocking out time to read, so that you're holding yourself accountable throughout the week and it feels more controlled.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like a tornado. And to comment, I have an app called Insight Timer. It's free. And 5 minutes, if you have 15 minutes, you can determine the time. But really just stopping and doing that has been very helpful in like reining me in.
Well, thank you. That's a great question, a great answers. Well, is there any last minute question? I know I'm sitting between you and food and between you and networking. So I don't want you to hold any longer. So let me just conclude the session. So first, a special thank you to our incredible panelists. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Heather, for sharing your experiences, your insights, and your strategies on how to harness content creation, not only to elevate a career, but also shape the future of hospitality and travel. And a big shout out to Mac and Alumni Relation, and also IEI for hosting the event. Thank you for allowing me to be part of the special event. Thank you, appreciate it. And also thank you everyone for attending today's session. Thank you being part of the important conversation. Thanks our student, alumni, partners for joining us today. So let's continue to innovate. Let's continue to collaborate and push the boundaries of what's possible for the hospitality and future in the next 5 or 10 or more years. Well, thank you everyone. Have a great weekend.